and beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself.
Shalom, children. Today we are going to be taking a deeper look at this week's Torah portion to see where it speaks of Yeshua Ha'Mashiach. We are in the book of Shemot. The parashah this week is called Terumah, which in Hebrew means offering or contribution. Let's hear a summary of the parashat. The children of Israel are called upon to contribute materials for the building of the set-apart place or sanctuary. It was from here Yahweh said He would dwell in their midst. The people are asked to contribute gold, silver, copper, blue, purple, and red dyed wool, flax, goat hair, animal skins, wood, olive oil, spices, and gems. On the summit of Mount Sinai, Moshe is given detailed instructions on how to build the sanctuary. It would need to be easily dismantled, transported, and reassembled as the people journeyed in the wilderness. The sanctuary and the altar was an enclosure surrounded by linen panels. These were supported by 60 wooden posts with silver hooks and trimmings, and reinforced by copper stakes. The tabernacle's 3 walls were fitted together with wooden boards, overlaid with gold, and held up by a pair of silver foundation sockets. The roof was formed by 3 layers of coverings: multicolored wool and linen, a covering made from goat hair, and a covering of ram skins. In the outer chamber stood a 7-branched menorah, and a table upon which the showbread was arranged. The most holy and set-apart place dwelt behind an artistically woven curtain. Inside the most holy place was the Ark of the Covenant, which contained some manna, the rod of Aharon, and the stone tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments. On the ark's cover stood 2 winged cherubim, hammered out of pure gold. Yeshua said, "If you believed Moshe, you would believe me, because he wrote about me." So let's dig a bit deeper to see if we can find Yeshua in the scriptures. Do you like to receive gifts? I know I do, but I also enjoy giving gifts too. When we happily do something for someone else, such as buying a present for them, it is done voluntarily. That is, no one had to force you to do it. The gift comes from your heart. In our parashah today, Adonai says to Moshe, "Tell the children of Israel to bring me an offering. You shall take my offering from everyone who gives it willingly with his heart." Now, of course, Adonai could have made the tabernacle by himself, but he set before the people an opportunity to give. Elohim doesn't need our things. Rather, this was about learning how to be generous. Shaul, a follower of the way, said, "He who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly, for Adonai loves a cheerful giver." One time, Yeshua was sat opposite the treasury and saw how the people put money into the collection pots. many who were rich put in a lot. Then a poor widow came and threw in 2 mites. Yeshua called his disciples and said to them, "This poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury, for they all put in out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in all that she had." When we give, we are able to show others the character of Adonai. But children, no matter how much we give, we can never be more generous than Elohim. The people in the wilderness had each given a few items, and yet in return they got the presence of Adonai. Shaul wrote about Adonai saying, "Since he did not spare even his own son, but gave him up for us, won't he also give us everything else?" No, we cannot find anyone who has given more than Yahweh. He provided the way of atonement for our sin through Yeshua. As we continue on, we read, Adonai said to Moshe, "Have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell amongst them." We can learn from these words how Yahweh desires to dwell amongst his people. This reminds me of the scripture about Yeshua in the book of Yochanan. We read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh, and dwelt amongst us." Let's now take a closer look at some of the details of the sanctuary and see how they reveal shadows of Yeshua. We will begin at the gate, the very entrance to the courtyard. Now, in order to access the dwelling place, everyone had to pass through this gate. This is already very interesting because, as we know, Yeshua said, "I am the door of the sheep. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture." The courtyard itself had walls made from linen panels. This created a visual separation of the holy from the unclean. The panels were to be constructed from fine white linen, which in those days was very difficult to make, and as such it was not used for common things like tents. Rather, it was saved for special items. Indeed, it was the very same material used for the clothing of the priests. And do you remember, Yeshua said that fine linen is the righteous acts of the saints. We then arrive at the altar. Blood was to be poured out on each of the 4 corners, which reminds us of Yeshua's blood being poured out at his crucifixion. We learn from the Torah, before a person can come before the presence of Adonai, a sacrifice had to be made to make him clean. This connects the altar to our Messiah, for Yeshua said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me." Finally, we come to the most set-apart place, the inner sanctuary. And not just anyone could enter this area. In fact, only the high priest was allowed to go in, and that was only once a year. This day is known as Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. The high priest was to pass through the veil, taking some of the blood from the sacrificed animal and sprinkle it onto the mercy seat. The people understood their sins had been atoned for, that is, covered by the sacrifice of the innocent animal. In a letter sent to the Hebrews, the author shows he understood the shadow pictures created by the tabernacle in the wilderness and the day of Yom Kippur, for he wrote, "Since we have a great high priest who has entered heaven, Yeshua ben Elohim, let us hold firmly to what we believe. This high priest of ours understands our weaknesses, for he faced all the same testings we do, yet he did not sin." Yeshua is not only our high priest entering the Holy of Holies, he is the all-sufficient sacrifice, for Shimon Kifar wrote, "Knowing that you were not redeemed with corruptible things like silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Mashiach, as of a lamb, without blemish and without spot." So let's think about being generous this week and offer a prayer of thanks to Adonai for his kindness and goodness towards us. As Shaul wrote, "Be thankful in all circumstances, for this is Elohim's will for you, who belong to Yeshua Ha'Mashiach." Well, children, that is the end of our study for today. So we will see you next time, when we search the scriptures together. Shalom.
Let your people come together in unity. What a blessing he's commanding when we're together, the oil flowing, descending from the heavens like the morning dew, pouring on our heads, precious soul from you, falling from the mountain, water fresh and cool, running down the